guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you have been here before. My name is Autumn and I'm back with another video. So on my channel I like to talk about pretty much anything I want to talk about, but mostly like nerd stuff, advice, you know, sister to sister or sister to brother, depending on who you are. Thank you. Just don't forget to subscribe so you can get more content like this and other videos that I have done. And let's get into this video. So, spooky season is coming. And if you're like me and you have a 9 to 5 and you are bored at work and don't have anything in your ear holes but music, I am here to recommend 5 podcasts that will keep you on your feet through spooky season, and even probably past that, because some of these podcasts are pretty long. So yeah, let's get into my list. This list is in no particular order. I like all of these for various reasons, but the number one reason is because the fear. I love scary things. I love haunted houses. I love talking about, like, you know, death and stuff like that, and maybe a little weird, but I love it, okay? Scary stuff, true crime. Let's get into that, because it is like, yes, I would rather sit there and listen to a podcast about someone got bludgeoned to death than listen to some music while I do my work. If you're like me, go ahead and like and comment that you're like me, because I don't want to feel alone. So yeah, the first podcast on my list is, of course, the No Sleep podcast. I got into this podcast because of my aunt, and when I tell you guys, 16 seasons of just fear and cringe and sometimes a little bit of laughter. It's not always, you know, scary. Basically, this podcast is run by a man named David Cummings, who lives in Canada. You know, shout out to all the Canadians out there for bringing the fear. And basically, it's just a podcast of scary stories that people submit, like artists submit, and they have done concerts where they go walk around and, you know, talk about their scary stories. In particular, there is a story in, I think it's like season 8 or something, called The Banana Man, I think, or Mr. Banana. And all I gotta say is, I don't see bananas the same no more. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you like scary stories with no particular theme, yeah, that is the podcast to look out to. I would start from the very beginning, season 1, because the evolution in scary and the evolution in podcast, like, audio is so much better. So it feels good to get to know how this big brand came about, because I believe the No Sleep podcast is probably like the #1 horror podcast out there. I know that they paved the way for a lot of the little guys I'm about to mention, so yeah, go ahead and check that out. The second podcast that I recommend to spice up your workday is Morbid, a true crime podcast, and that is hosted by Elena and Ash. They are family members. They live in the northeastern part of America, and they are hilarious. Their very first episode was about the Golden State Killer, and it was hilarious. Also, start from the beginning from them too, because once you start to catch up, everything kind of becomes more relevant, if that makes sense, because of all the true crime that's going on today. They are very funny. A lot of banter, a lot of back and forth, a lot of discourse. And I know that a lot of the podcast episodes are probably distasteful because there's like children murders and stuff like that, but they do spice it up and like give you a little palate cleanser by having listener tales, scary road tales, and like hauntings and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of everything creepy, but it's mostly true crime. And I just want to shout out their episodes on the BTK killer were hilarious. We don't call him BTK. He wants to be called the BTK killer, but we're gonna call him Dennis because that's his name, Dennis. But yeah, so if you want to understand the information behind that little inside joke, go ahead and listen to their channel or listen to their podcast because they are amazing. Next one is Let's Not Meet. So Let's Not Meet is ran by, I think his name is Andrew, and they're like little bite-sized episodes of maybe like 10 minutes of people's actual stories. I think he gets them from Reddit or something, of people not wanting to meet other creepy people because of situations they have been in. Like, for instance, there was one that poked out to me particularly about a child that almost got abducted by some crazy woman, and at the end of every story it's like, yeah, so crazy woman that tried to abduct me when I was 3, let's not ever meet. So yeah, he's really funny. Some of the stories are very like, that happened, because these are real stories. They're not like made up. They're not true crime per se, but they're like, oh, I almost took a car ride from a stranger that just happened to be a little creepy, you know, the stuff that you can encounter every day, if that makes sense. So yeah, that podcast I highly recommend, just because the episodes are really small, like very short, so you can really get through it. And I think the guy that made the podcast, I think his name is Andrew or Andy, but he's just like, his voice is just so calming that it feels good to listen to him sometimes. Just, yeah. So the fourth one that I have on my list for scary and creepy things is literally called Creepy. This podcast is kind of just like the No Sleep podcast. It's just a bunch of array of different really scary stories, and it's kind of like the No Sleep podcast, but with one voice. One person is speaking, and his voice is very monotone, so I don't listen to this as much because I do get like, okay, there's no like inflections in the voice, but the episodes are very, very creepy. There are a few series in between each of the episodes, so like there's like a hell series, and there's like a I can't think of the other series, but it's got a lot of series in it, and it's perfect for spooky time because his voice paired with the fact that the podcast is called Creepy just works so perfectly, because he does sound very creepy. And I don't know who it is that runs the podcast. I haven't looked it up because I think I'm like maybe 200 episodes in, and they've got like more than 500. Yeah, very good for the creepy vibes. And then the last podcast that I'm going to recommend for you guys is We're Alive. The podcast series We're Alive is amazing. I mean, you talk about a movie in your head. That is what this is. Basically, it is a story about zombies, and these cadets or army people are trying to like navigate this new world with zombies and everything, and it follows the main character, Michael. These are different like structures from like a regular podcast, because this is like a story. It's like a book almost, but being spoken out. There are voice actors, and there's sound effects and everything, and I think there are 3 series. There's the We're Alive, the main series, the We're Alive Lockdown, which talks about a piece of the main series, but it's like broken off, and then there's We're Alive Gold Rush, which I haven't finished, but the other 2 are so good. Like, when I tell you, you're gonna be crying at the end of the podcast, like, what? Yeah, it's really good. Plus, they have their own website, so you can check out their stuff and like look at what the characters might look like, even though you probably put in your mind what the characters would look like. So yeah. So those are 5 podcasts that I highly recommend that you get into for spooky season, because October is right around the corner, babes, and We like to be scared, don't we? Yes, we do. So if you like this video, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment your favorite podcast for scary stuff, because if you are like me and you like to be scared, spookless, then let's do that together, because I could use some more recommendations. I mean, I do have a few more recommendations, but not enough to make a whole other video. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that I can grow my channel. And if you have any video recommendations, put them in the comments down below. Thank you. I will see you later. Bye. So like legit, seriously, I've gotten so into scary stuff and like true crime that I wonder if maybe my schedule is too like on the nose. People can follow me, and that is scary. People are crazy. And the supernatural is real. Yeah, it is. It is. But yeah, man. It's really great. Spooky season's coming. Spooky season's coming. Alrighty. I'm gonna go.